Hey guys. Okay, so we left off on the whole speech therapy. He got cleared by the speech therapist. They did try, they did take him, and they had him, you know, take different types of food and to see what he would tolerate. So they just allowed him to have more liquids and very like pudding type things, nothing too thick. And my dad was always a fighter, and he always went against all the rules. On top of that, which is not, I'm not saying that's something you should do, but I think that's something that kept him going, his stubbornness, because he wanted to eat what he wanted to eat. And so we were giving him yogurts, and he was drinking a little bit of juice and a little bit of water. And he wanted to start eating solids and stuff, but we would cut him up really, 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 really tiny so that he could, pass them by. But I think because he was intubated, it really, really hurt him here to swallow anyway. So, but he always looked forward to his yogurts. I mean, he would put up a fight. If we didn't bring a yogurt with us to the hospital, we were in big trouble. And he always wanted to leave. He would say he wanted to leave, he wanted to leave, like he didn't want to be there anymore. So the fighting had already stopped with him about not wanting to live. He just wanted to go home. He didn't want to be there. So we made it as comfortable as possible that we could at home for him. And we wanted to have him home because it was financially draining to be going to the hospital and back home, and and it was just it was really hard. So we ended up taking him home, and then after that he was really, really good. You know, it wasn't so much maintenance at home because it was just, I mean, it is a lot of maintenance to take care of a person who cannot move for himself. It still is till this day. It is really, really hard, but it is way better than what all those tubes and wires and everything, that was way worse. We passed that trial, and we're grateful for all the things that we've learned. But yeah, that was okay. So the next time he went to the hospital was for pneumonia. He developed pneumonia. He had gotten sick. That's another thing with people who have strokes. You need to be careful because their immune systems are not that great, and because they can't wash their hands as often. They can't. We try to keep him as clean as we possibly can. I mean, we do. I mean, everybody always says how great he looks. How good we take care of him. How spoiled he is. But he's our dad, and we want to take care of him the best way we can. And but it is hard for him on some days. Some of the things that happened with the stroke is he had a lot of depression. He had a lot of uncontrollable crying that we didn't understand why that was going on. Um, the drooling, he has a lot of drooling when he eats or when he smiles, and sometimes they can choke on their own saliva because they can't take care of the way that their tongue moves because he hasn't had speech therapy. Also, he he developed a UTI also because of the all the Foley catheters. He actually had to have surgery too to put a Foley catheter in place because of the way that it was. So that was another thing that they had to put him through. And he doesn't have a Foley catheter anymore, but you do develop UTIs and bacteria because of that in that area. What else? What else did he develop? Yeah, there's just those things that sometimes we notice that he doesn't. His laughs are really exaggerated. His cries are really exaggerated. His he cannot control. He has a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair, and he cannot control because he doesn't have enough coordination to do that. So we have to be the ones to use it like kind of like a joystick and move him that way. We're grateful for that. We were able to get that processed with one of the DMEs and places, and they were actually able to get him an electric wheelchair. We also were able to get him like one of those recliners that will sit up the patient. It's not one of the best ones, but it is good. They did process it. He hasn't been able to sit on that one. Well, we did sit him a couple of times on that one, but we're just so worried that if we try like lifting him like to stand in a position kind of to try to do therapy on him, that he'll just go straight forward and fall because that thing is not, it doesn't go up the way it's supposed to, like in a sitting position, what it does, it just automatically goes up. And so since my dad doesn't have any movement, he'll just go straight forward. Um, Granted, we can restrain him on we would have to find a really big restraint so that he wouldn't go forward. But why put him through that? So not right now, not because he hasn't had any therapy and we haven't seen a lot of movement come back. Now, something that I actually learned, and I was actually doing at the nursing home where I was working, one of my first nursing homes, I was actually doing RMA, which is, I mean, RA, restorative aid. And so I learned how to do range of motions and how to put on prosthetics and do therapy. And so we were doing a lot of physical therapy with him at home. And now we don't do it as much as we should, but we learned how to not allow their hands to get contracted. But my dad's hand has gotten a little bit contracted from these fingers right here because of the lack of movement. He doesn't want you to touch his arm, and that's really, really hard. I know it's painful for him. He does cry a lot from his shoulder on this side. He cries a lot. We tried putting icy hot and putting packs on there and stuff, and to kind of relieve some of the pain that he feels. I know I've watched some other videos of people who have gone through strokes, and they say that how it's really, really painful. So we do feel a lot of sympathy for him because of the pain that he goes through. So we try not to move his hand as much. I know it's not the best thing to do, but he doesn't want you touching it. He gets really angry if you touch it. I mean, the only time we touch it is when we have to turn him to change him, or we have to give him his hand to hold it. He's finally, at first he was really angry with his hand. He would just throw it like if it was nothing. Like he would just grab it and just we try to put him on his stomach so that we could move him and all that stuff. And he would get angry and he would throw his hand. He was really angry at his hand, and he was angry at his leg that he couldn't move. And but something that he did get back was his eyesight, which is really where we were really wondering, how bad he had it, because we thought he couldn't see. There was a point in time in the hospital when he was not able to see, and I don't know what happened, guys, but I guess they lowered the blood pressure. His diabetes was in control, and I guess he started getting his eyesight back, and he was able to see like really long distances. So I think that's what kind of calmed him down. I think he was really upset because he wasn't able to see one. He was paralyzed all from his side. He wasn't able to talk. He just was really angry, and you could see the anger in him. Sometimes he had a face like he looked dumbfounded, and I don't want to say it like that because it sounds really bad, but he had like a face like he looked like he was not a normal person. And then slowly that facial expression went away, and he got his eyesight back, and he was a little bit happier with life and more accepting of his situation. He cried a lot. I think he felt a lot of we felt a lot more love from him. A lot more kissing was involved, a lot more acceptance, I think. And he started seeing all the things that we did for him. And even though we were tired, we would do everything, even if it was the smallest things. We wanted to make it as comfortable as possible. He was really, really upset because he couldn't communicate with us, and he didn't try to learn sign language. He didn't try. He just expected us to know what he was saying. And we're like, point. But since he doesn't have good coordination because of his stroke, it was hard to understand him. And he would just get really upset, and he didn't want anything anymore. So I'm glad that we got over that bridge. We got over a lot of obstacles, and we feel really blessed to have him with us, and how we're able to communicate more with him. We get to see his fun side, his happy side. Sometimes he still gets really angry if he doesn't get his way. But for the most part, he's happy. He's got more movement. His legs right now are going in the truck, and that's the thing. It's really financially draining because he always wants to be out on the road. I can understand why, because that's like, those are his feet. He was always the type of person that was always on the go. And so when we first put him in the truck and he took his first outing, he was happy. He was so happy. But his legs would swell up right away. And so with one good thing would come a bad thing. So it's been a really, really big journey, guys. Um, a big journey. It's been a really big trial, but we learned a lot and we've passed all these obstacles. And I know that if any of you are going through this, or you see that your parents are going through this, you know that you'll get you'll get to a point where you will be thankful for all the things you have learned. And I'm grateful for all the things that I have learned, and I'm grateful for always having the Lord by my side, and for having every single one of my brothers and sisters, because if it wasn't for them, I mean, we needed each other to to go through this. We all brought something to the table. We all brought some of our expertises, the things that we've learned in life, and we brought. I think it brought us really together at a point, but it can also break you apart, because it is financially draining. It is really hard on the families, because it just is. It is. Take it from me. It's been really, really hard. It still is really hard, but it's been worth it. I'm glad to see my dad where he's at right now. And could he be better? Yes. But we are grateful for where we are right now. And we are just striving every single day to make it better for him and make it better for us. And, the Lord walks with us every step of the way. And that is something that I am a firm believer in. I know he is one of the miracles that God answered me. And I say this all the time. And I have a firm testimony that he answered my prayer, and he gave me this miracle. And every time I see into my dad's big blue eyes, I thank the Lord for allowing us to still have him in our lives. So, if you guys want to see any more of these videos, or for me to share any more information or any more of the stories about my dad, I would be glad to share them with you. These are the only ones I think I'm going to be doing right now. I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a background of, you know, like stroke awareness, and my take of what we went through when we were in the hospital. I mean, there's a lot more details that go into this, guys, but I tried to not make the video so long and just kind of put some awareness out there and kind of give you insight of how they feel, how don't take it personally if they're angry and they feel like they don't want to live or whatever. Just try to push through it and try to help them and try to comfort them as much as you can. Just try to understand their situation, because it is not easy, you know. But with your help, with my help, with God's help, they will see why they are still needed here, and just be grateful for having them in your life. And if it is you that's going through this, just know that God has a reason for you to still be here. And don't ever feel like a burden, because you're not. My dad has never felt like a burden to me. Have we hit financial burdens? Yes. Have we been tired? Yes. Has it been really hard? Yes. But has it been worth it? Yes. I'm very blessed and very grateful for having him in my life. And don't ever feel like a burden, because God might take something away. I don't think it's God that takes things away. I think it's our own actions, because I don't think, God gives us this. No, it's just we don't take care of our bodies the way we should. And he helps us through everything. God is a God of love, and he doesn't want to see you suffer. So never blame your bad the situations that you find yourself in on God. God always wants to see you happy, and he's always going to help you. If things happen, it's because of a choice that we made, or circumstances, or, took me a while to understand that. But yeah, I want to go ahead and leave this video with that. If you are interested in hearing a little bit more about my dad, um, I'll go ahead and do one more video, just explaining to you where we're at right now. So if you want to watch that, definitely go ahead and check it out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.